This is simply the most insane hand I've ever seen. I have to think about that. I've seen a lot of pretty insane hands along the way, but it's definitely in the conversation for the most out of control hand of all time. We're going to break down what went down and talk about what might have happened. But before we do, I want to talk about the people involved in this hand, add a little context for you so you can understand the players a little bit better. All right, so this guy's name is Garret. Apparently, he's pretty good at the pokers. The other player in the hand is Robbi Jade Lude. Now, I've done a little digging on her backstory and went through some of her stuff, including her Hendon mob. But take a look at the games that she's played over the last 10 years or so. It's primarily been a lot of small tournaments, a lot of very, very small tournaments, $100 tournaments, $250 tournaments, $400 tournaments, a couple $1,000s here or there as we move into 2021. And then only this year, all of a sudden, she's playing a lot higher stakes. I'm seeing a 3K event, a 5K event, the 10K main event she played as well. She won a 2K, and then now she's playing on the Hustler live stream. The Hustler Weekend Big Game stream is one of the largest cash game streams in the world. So we're looking at someone that has gone from playing in $400 tournaments in March of this year to playing in the one of the actual highest stakes possible streams for hundreds of thousands of dollars. I mean, a lot of players on that stream will buy in for up to $500, $600, $700, $800,000.
we can pause the feeling.
No, let me tell you what happened, please. 10,000, mid-range 20, shove, call.
And obviously the reason why he would be that is how can she call?
I remember.
Like maybe he thinks that she saw his hand somehow, or so, I don't know.
Nothing. I think nothing happened.
The flop goes bet call. The turn goes bet raise shove call.
Call like what? What do you mean like raise?
128.3. Bet 20,000 mini raise.
No, before the flop.
Before the flop. Before the flop.
128.3.
I think it was a.
This is the weirdest fucking thing I've ever seen.
I don't understand sort of what's happening right now.
Andy.
This is a new cut, right?
If my jack was in a club, I would have been out.
What do you mean if your jack wasn't a club?
Yeah, blocker.
You know you've let me do this to you several times now.
Yeah.
I don't know what's happening.
I'm just
right now.
testing it.
Yeah.
And
This
you
doesn't
just keep
seem super
letting
funny
do
to
this.
me,
And
honestly,
no,
at all,
like
but
when
how
you
much
bet,
money is
when
that?
you bet that like high big
Yeah.
stack, why did you go on
I don't
it
need to
twice?
say.
I thought you were on ace high. Ace high.
And then so why call with jack eye then?
First of all, a little bit of a straight draw. I have blockers on there.
No, on the turn though. So you called all in on the turn because.
Yeah, because you don't have shit.
That's right. She
You don't
thinks you
have
can't
shit.
beat a jack high.
It's not about what I have. It's about what I don't think you have when you play against me. That's
You
it.
didn't think you had jack queen of clubs.
75.
You let me do this to you post stream too. Last time we played.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And keep letting me.
Okay, 50, 75. 100.
I mean, obviously, I'll just say
This is
it.
how
Gary
game
thinks that
good,
this
right?
hand was not straight in
This is how
some
a
way.
game fucking
I
opens
mean, there's
up.
no doubt
When
about
same
it.
shit like this happens.
This is the most disturbed I've ever seen Garrett look
Fucking
at the
crazy
table.
town.
And I think Andy's disturbed too. He doesn't. If you looked over there, it's like, whoa, what just happened here?
You're not the only one that gets lucky sometimes, Garrett. You don't have to get that upset. It's
Robbi
just
did that for
fucking
Andy.
poker.
Robbi did that for Andy last night. She did that for you.
Don't put me in this. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know what's going on right now.
Yep.
That was the most insane poker hand I've ever seen.
Andy.
That's not a poker hand.
That wasn't.
I don't know what's
I played you and not the hand. What's the problem?
she played
I played
you.
you.
Makes
So
sense.
don't let me play you.
Yeah, just don't let her play you.
I mean, I don't know if that's a function of that she thought she could call.
Right? I mean, yeah, okay.
I know, right?
The reason why this is, of course, so strange is that
Straight flush draw, but I also was
But
holding
she
jack
had the
of clubs.
blocker to the straight
I
flush
had
draw.
exactly a jack of clubs.
Boom, that's the key card.
Eric, you done?
I saw that shit.
Okay,
It
Thank
happens.
you.
There's some reason you did it.
There's multiple reasons I did it.
You only needed one. You thought Jack High was good.
That's like some spiritual guide from outer space.
I ran it twice because I didn't
Telling your
think Jack
ear or
High could
something
be
like,
good.
oh, like that is like
you have bigger balls than most.
But it was.
I know.
Yeah.
So
And
congratulations.
most men just bluff me. And I'm used to it.
It's a situation where it's
I
like,
wasn't embarrassed to show that hand.
is it possible that she just doesn't know?
You also
This is what's got to be going through Garrett's mind.
Right
You're the
now,
only one in it with me.
the streamers have gone crazy.
Does she just not know that she can't call with Jack high there, and that a bunch of bluffs beat her?
That's gonna make YouTube.
Or was the hand not straight in some way?
We are on YouTube.
No, but I mean, it's gonna be a clip. That's just.
But both Garret and Andy.
It's all on its own right there.
So sorry.
This shit is starting to get a lot of recognition, similar to the chess world with that scandal. Although I think it took a lot more time. I saw yesterday that an article in the New York Post had come out.
Right.
Got to tell you, it's funny to me to watch poker get like mainstream and complete lay people attempt to cover it.
Yeah.
They're lost, man.
Well, yeah,
I mean,
course.
understandably so, but like, this is just kind of somebody said like, "Hey, some shit happened on a YouTube show. You guys should write an article about it."
Yeah.
I think Guapo might have that article if he's not dead over there.
I mean, to be fair, it's not
I
too
think he's
far
working
from
on
the,
Chin, so
It's not too far
okay.
from the shit that happened on the show.
Go on.
I'm just saying the article.
What
The Jack 4.
Oh yeah. I think it's difficult to try to relay to other lay people, and that's really the biggest issue that we're having with this whole. I don't want to call it a scandal, but like whatever the hell it is, it's difficult to relay to lay people what this all means, right?
Okay.
Like they just see Jack 4, they're like, I like Jack 5. That hand has a name, Motown baby. His favorite hand, so she called him Juan. Like, what's the big deal, kind of thing, and that's almost kind of fair, I guess, right? Like if you're an outsider looking in and you literally don't know anything about poker, it's not that unreasonable to like look at one hand without any other context and just say, wow, pretty fucking crazy. This woman won 270,000 with Jack 4 high, right? But to anybody who's ever played the game, we kind of look at it. It's such a head scratcher. It's so hard to really understand fully what the hell was going on.
Right.
I think the community having an approach where we debate these things is very good. However, one thing that has become overwhelmingly clear about this story, everyone on the internet has a hardline stance, yes or no. Either she did it or she didn't do it. And I see these comments back and forth, and it's almost like a microcosm of society as a whole right now. It has to be white or black. It has to be left or right. It has to be this or that. When the reality is that people do not know here. This is not a Mike Paul situation where everyone knows that they cheated. This is a situation where it does seem very likely. However, it's one hand. And so we need to analyze it and talk about it with an approach that's, okay, it is quite likely she cheated here, but it's also at least plausible she did not. We need to go through this fairly and not just jump on one side of the bandwagon. The people that think that there's nothing sketchy here at all, this is just like when a fish plays poker, oh, they got lucky. You guys are idiots. In fact, please tell me what games you're in, because I think every other person in the entire world would love to come play in your game where this hand isn't that notable. This is an insane hand. This is a crazy, crazy hand. And then the people on the, she's for sure 100% guilty. While I lean that direction, it is one hand, and she has played a lot of weird hands over the course of these last 3 streams. So it's not like this is it's impossible that she, decided to make this call. What is definitely impossible is she did not tell a story that is correct. She certainly rechecked her cards. She knew after the hand almost immediately she did not have a 3. Her story around the story are definitely at least mistruths, if not lies. But it's also possible that she's just not capable of continuing to tell a continuous story accurately. There has been a lot of, I saw the word salad about the way she describes these hands. And frankly, listening to her talk about the reason she called when talking to Garret it's just brutal. It's absolutely just brutal. Anyway, regardless, while I lean towards the side that I think she likely cheated, I also don't know. And I want to see more evidence, and I want to see people discuss this. So I guess my in summary concluding point here would be, I think it's good to have discussion. I think it's good for us to analyze things. I think we should deep dive this. Lord knows Joey has probably done his 14th 10-hour stream by now. But we should also have a little bit of room for maybe we're wrong and be open to interpreting new information that might make us change our mind.
So the action folds around to Garret, and he raises it with 7-8 of clubs, a standard play under GTO. Robbi then defends with Jack 4 off, which is standard under BTO. Now, some of you that might be coming from more of a theoretic or perhaps logic-based background might question this defend as being too wide. But that's because you're ignorant. Unlike GTO, which is based on old school theories like equity and EV, there are two primary tenets of BTO strategies: board coverage and blockers. When we expand our range in this way, not only can we make the nuts on all possible runouts, we also block our opponents from doing the same. Villain has quad aces? I don't think so. Will Villain make a 6-high straight on the river? Not likely. No matter how the flop, turn, and river go, this range ensures that your opponent's likelihood to make a big hand is decreased by at least 2%. That being said, in order to remain balanced, BTO does not defend with 7-2 off. After all, you don't want to be a total fucking fish.
And then also there's the case of you run it twice. I mean, there's really no guarantee that you're going to even win one or two of those in that situation. I don't even know how relevant that is to a strategy. Everybody got a different strategy. Some people say if you're going to do
running it twice, you know, if it's like the RFID type cheating, I don't know if the software out there is creative enough to know when they run it twice who's going to win. I don't know. I don't know. It's so weird.
That's what I'm saying, right? So some of the things, like, to me, I look at it and I go, well, you know, maybe this, like, it looked one way, but at the same time, I just know I'm on ACR, play against the bots all day, and when I play against the fish, I know I'm in hand with the fish, right? Because they do something, I'm like, what is this idiot thinking? The worst play I've ever seen. Like, to make just they like check call, and then like shove the river and you call, and they've got like literally nothing, and you're like, what the fuck is this clown thinking? Now, I've never seen something like this in a cash game. I play a lot of cash game hands. I can never remember anything like this ever happening to me, right? But obviously, you know, the hands blur together over time too. So, you know.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's going to be 1,000 correlations to the infamous pot ripper 10-9 hand. And this seems so much like that, where an unintelligent poker player, you know, not an unintelligent person, but someone new to poker, knows that they have the best hand, doesn't realize how ridiculous it is, makes the call, wins the pot, and then, you know, tries to look for backroom logic of why they called. And, you know, there's no way she picked up a read on Garret. Garrett's too good. Garrett's too professional. I've watched him shove, you know, hundreds of hands on that show. He does the same thing, shoving his one stack out. There was no physical tell for her to pick up. There was no equity. Yeah. You know, there's just, it's so ridiculous on every level.
Right.
And I don't know. I think it's one of those, we check a lot of the hands of the stream. We check some other stuff that she's played, and, you know, whether or not she's back. I'm not trying to make this, you know, a sexist thing, but this girl, you know, doesn't play high stakes. It's the same thing with Lauren Roberts. Like, she had a backer, and that was surprising to myself and a lot of people. You know, there's plenty of wealthy, you know, smart women who get into poker and realize it's a good investment to get a backer in whatever situation. So I want to know who has a rooting interest in her, who has, you know, equity in her, and who might be able to lean on her to make her do something she might not want to do.
Well, here comes Garret.
What the hell? Did he really get that back? Fucking Garrett's a deep sea fisherman. How did he do this?
Did she give the money back to Garret? Is that what they were talking about?
You gotta be kidding. What's happening?
What is that? That's Rip out there with the hat. What is he doing out there? He seems heated about something.
I think that's what she did.
Well, she definitely gave the money back. I saw it, but like.
Yeah, she took it from the rack here. It was her rack. She gave him $150,000.
What?
What is going on?
What is going
I would
on?
take that money back.
That's Rip.
Yeah, I would. I take that money. Never mind, I take that money back.
This guy fucking takes the money back she won from you? No, he's a pussy. You are a fucking pussy. Hey, bro. I'm out.
What is going on here?
Give her the fucking money back. He made her fucking give him the money back.
This is really unanticipated.
Yeah, fuck that. I'm out. I don't play in this fucking shit. He fucking made her give the money back.
What do you mean made her? How do you make?
He
How do you-
fucking told her to give the money back and accused her of cheating.
How do you make someone give the money back? I don't understand.
I don't know. He took it. She fucking somehow talked her into giving the fucking money.
Why would she be willing to do? If she didn't cheat, why would she be willing to give the money
Why
back?
are you?
And if she did cheat, why isn't she being arrested?
Why would she give him the money back?
Yeah, that's
I don't
the thing. I
understand.
mean,
That's strange.
And, like how?
So which is it?
Mike,
There's only two outcomes here.
1200. Got it? Are you okay?
Not, you know.
Okay.
There's about to be like millions of people that watch.
Yeah. Thank you. Can you give me some change, please? Yeah.
The face that Eric is giving is the face that I have if you had a camera in the booth here. It looks like Garret is
Look at you, got that shit back.
getting up.
That's impressive.
I don't know what's going on
I
here.
think I've never seen that before.
But apparently she gave the money back
Bro,
to
if
Garret,
you beat me,
which
can I have my money
is
back?
really bizarre. Because why would she do that?
That's so good.
if
I'm not even sure I want to play poker if that's how it is.
You're the 100.
that's really strange.
And Mike, you're 600.
That is really,
I'm just
really
surprised you haven't
strange.
been instigating this more. And you must really like Garret.
Because I'm mature.
He does really like it.
I do like Garret. It's me. Man. I told you, this game's fucking jacked up right now. Like, there's no rhythm
I
here.
want to play it. I don't know. I hope this game doesn't break.
It's not gonna break.
You know, none of it makes sense. Like, she calling doesn't make sense.
For giving the money back makes
Giving
sense.
the money makes
No,
even
but like
less
how?
sense.
Like how could she be cheating? Like there's no devices. Like there's no
Not-
way that she was.
Like, yeah, so why would she give it back?
I was like, my mind was blown when she made a call. But I
Yeah.
don't understand. Like
She gave him 125 back. She did. I know. That's what I'm saying. That's what, everyone's mind's blown right here.
what is going on?
The immediate speculation is that I think a lot of people came to was this Robbi woman cheated. You know, how else do you make that call with Jack High? And then we'll get into a lot of the theories. But Daniel, if you want to rewind back before you started researching this topic and the first thing that you saw, the very first immediate reaction that jumped into your head before you started, looking into it a bit more.
So we were all at the Poker Go studio, us high rollers, playing in the big 25K PLO, and obviously, people's Twitter was everyone was like, literally everyone was talking about this, and I heard the hand and what happened, and everyone seemed to just accept that it was cheating. And when I heard the hand, I'm like, oh, that's cheating. Didn't watch it though, so I was under the impression that it was cheating. Then I spoke to a photographer there, Anthony Albergo there, and he says, I don't know, man. I don't think she cheated. I'm like, come on, bro. What are you talking about? Who calls with Jack 4 high there? It doesn't make no sense. So that later that night, I watched the video myself several times with my wife, Amanda, and, went over it. And there's just here. Let me first say this. I don't know what happened. Okay. I don't think anyone's saying right now it's 100% this or that. They're really not having any respect for the amount of information that sort of speaks to both sides being right. So a couple things first came to mind, right? So if she was cheating, how, right? Well, if she was cheating with some sort of device that knew she would win the hand, right? What are the odds that device would tell her she'd win on 2 runs? Why would she run it twice? Like, what would be the purpose of her saying yes to running it twice? Her mannerisms, the way she was acting seemed kind of flustered and confused. Like I tweeted, I played for 30 years and I've seen crazy shit. I've seen people in stud. I have open 9s. They call the river. They couldn't beat my 9s. Like, they just couldn't win. I saw Jennifer Tilly, on Poker After Dark. She checked back Jack's full in a spot where, it made no sense because she was worried that Patrick had quads, right? He didn't have quads. But if he did have quads, people might have been like, what's going on there? Because it was an outrageous check, right? So So ultimately, like, and the other thing too, like I've experienced with this as well, is like anytime you're going to actually accuse people of cheating, I feel like it's really important to, number one, be very specific about the method, and number two, have evidence and receipts to back it up. Rather than like you cheated, but then, you know, in Garrett's comments, he said something to the effect of like, he's 100% sure it has nothing to do with Hustler, okay? Like the people in the production. And I don't know, right? I don't know if any cheat, but like, how can you make that claim without also claiming like, so this is what happened, right? This is exactly what, like, how do you know just because you're friendly with them or whatever? Ultimately, and I'll let you speak right after, ultimately, if I was in Garrett's shoes, I wouldn't have handled it this way for one key reason. Garret makes a whole bunch of money in this game, right? He, you know, he's a stream guy. He makes a shit ton of money. If he felt like he just got cheated out of 130, and he really, I mean, what? It was a coin flip anyway. He ran it twice. He just like, whatever. If he really felt like he got cheated, I think the play was to like quit the game, go backstage, talk to the people there. Don't make a stink about it. Because if you're wrong, right? Think about how that looks. We talk about the optics of like women in poker, right? Imagine for a second she didn't cheat. And she had to deal with that sort of like, again, let's just, if you're confirmed, if you're 100% that she cheated, imagine she didn't. Imagine for a second there's 1%, but she didn't. And the behavior, what she had to deal with, you know, in that spot is a lot, right? So I'm always extra careful with it. Now, I've changed my mind a few times because some of the information, some of the data seems like, wait a minute, actually, maybe she did. But then I wonder, like, why is it only this hand that she cheated on? And if it was only this hand, maybe it wasn't some sort of device. Maybe Garret lifted her cards up and somebody saw them. Maybe she saw them. And in this specific hand, she knew he had 7-8 of clubs or whatever. All the talk later that she didn't know how to describe it. And I had the, like, that means nothing to me. I've trained and taught so many beginning players where at the end of a hand, I'm like, okay, so why did you do that? And they go, well, I did that because, you know, I didn't want to get bluffed. And it's like, okay. And then I say, well, you had the nuts. It's like, yeah, but you know, you never know, right? It's like, they don't make any sense. Totally logic. So the fact that Garret could eloquently describe what happened doesn't shock me. He's a top pro. And the fact that she couldn't doesn't really lend itself to me to being like, oh, look, she contradicted herself. She said she had a 3. That's not enough for me. Like, it's just, it's, you know, if she was just like did make a dumb bonehead play, you know, the justifications are going to sound ridiculous because there is no justification for this call, right? Right.
Hey, so I just want to explain to everybody what's going on so there's no confusion. In that particular hand, Garret was upset because he thought there had to be something going on for me to make that call. I made some references when I was on stream about why I kind of made that call. There's 2 things that were going on over there. So I'm holding the jack of clubs. There's 2 clubs on the board. After the flop, I have a backdoor flush draw and a backdoor straight draw, which is why I made the call with the 5,000 bet that he initiated. And then when the turn came, it was a 3. And you will hear me say on stream, are 3s any good? And the reason I said that is because I thought I was holding a jack of clubs and a 3 of whatever. So I thought, and I say that I think I have a bluff catcher and it's not good enough. So when Garret shoved on me, there's multiple reasons I called that. Previous experience where I know that he's often bluffing. I also assumed in a hand that I also folded to him earlier on in the night, the same night when I thought that he was just on a draw but let him have it, that he was just on a draw, which means he did not have a made hand after the turn. And I thought that I'm holding, you know, a blocker with the jack of flush, like jack flush draw missed and straight draw missed for me. So with a 3 as a bluff catcher sort of thing. I didn't look back at my hand to see that it was jack 4. I ran it twice because I knew I was probably going to lose that unless, I don't know, anything better came than pocket 3s, I guess, or like not even pocket 3s, like a pair of 3s. And I knew I had to run it twice to have that opportunity. So we ran it twice, and unfortunately for him, I won that hand despite even having 3s, which is still kind of mind-boggling to me. I won that hand though, fair and square, and it is what it is. He wasn't happy with it, and I said, Garret, will you come back on stream? What can I do for you to come back? Not make this dramatic. I really appreciate and respect production. I know it's hard work to keep everything in order, There's a lot of money on the table. It's upsetting for me when I lose and win. It's upsetting for anyone. It doesn't matter how much money you have as far as bankroll is concerned, but it's important that like everyone is at peace and we don't cause enough disruption. So for me, I'm used to people bluffing me, which is why I often call. And I know that Garret was super frustrated with me, and he wanted to talk about it. And I said, let's do what's going to be the most amicable ending for production as well as moving forward. In my mind, I think I'm good enough that I can win the $130,000 back. That's a lot of money. So so the whole understanding was, please come back and continue to play. And if you feel like it's fair that I give you this money back, fine, have it. Come back and play, and let's just continue playing. It's just poker at the end of the day, and I do think of myself in some regard that I will get that hand back fair and square, because ultimately he didn't think it was a fair hand for him not to win, and I guess maybe it wasn't a fair hand for me. Maybe we should have just split it right there and then at the table, whatever it was. I was okay with giving him the money back. I really was. People may not feel that way. I don't like drama. I want to keep it minimal, and it is what it is. And I just wanted to really mitigate and reduce the level of drama that it would entice that was going in that direction. But he didn't come back, and that's because of alternative people that felt differently about me giving money to him. I'm okay with it. I don't give a shit. I want everyone to chill out. It's not that serious. If it doesn't bother me, it is what it is. I don't feel like I should have won that hand. I should not have won that hand. I think that the call would have ultimately been okay if I was holding Jack 3, and I wasn't, and then unfortunately I still ended up winning, and I can see where his pain is there. And I think that's why I did it. I said, you know what, I can see why he's upset, and I'm okay with giving the money back. We're good. And if everyone wants to flip out about it, good for fucking you. I don't give a shit. He has his money, I'm cool. And it wouldn't have been cool to call on Jack 4 personally, but I called on Jack thinking that I was holding Jack 3, and it is what it is, and I'm gonna go back and play. And I love production. I don't want to cause any more disruption. We're good. Everyone can say what they want to say, but I'm cool. So me and Garret are talking afterwards, and it'll be fine.
And Robbi, out there?
I'm here. Hi.
Hey, Robbi, how's it going? Welcome. Thank you
I'm
for
good.
Thank you for calling in. Thank you for obviously this is like the big talk of the poker world right now, and we've done a few investigations like this in the past where we've seen some things happen on live streams. You can understand that most poker people are on edge and they're trying to figure out what the hell is going on here. So, we've been watching kind of what took place. We watched the hand a bunch of times. We saw the interview that you put up there where you were explaining yourself, which I thought made sense to me. And then you got the tweets that you're kind of been putting out. So then Sean D basically made a quote tweet where he talked about something that took place at the table where it's some sort. Maybe Sean, you can explain, and then Robbi, but I just kind of wanted to lay that out there for a little bit, just to kind of set the table for where we're at right now.
Yeah, Robbi, I just have some questions for you, and feel free to answer them. I'm not trying to attack you. I just want more information. What is your relationship with Rip?
Okay, first of all, I don't know who the fuck you are, and I just feel like you're attacking me. Nice to meet you, though, on these pretenses, which is interesting.
Well, you can text Jaffe. Me and him go.
But I've gotten a lot of feedback about the type of behavior you have towards women. So if this is like an attack on women playing poker, it is what it is.
I mean, you could play the sexist card. It has nothing to do with.
Oh no, I don't ever do that. I've never ever dropped it, and if anyone knows that about me, they'll know that I've never done that. But let me tell you something, Sean. If any other woman was in my disposition, they would not be. They would have stirred up a lot more shit than I am. But I'm used to this shit. I come from a male heavily dominated industry. I've succeeded and far surpassed it. I know I'm going into a poker heavy, like male dominated friggin' world, and I don't need anybody to come around and be Captain Save-A-Ho for me. I want to have my own footing and my own ground. But the problem is that I think I was too nice in that particular scenario, looking out for people that were looking out for me. I have respect for the production team, and I just wanted their main guy who's been streaming for a fucking year, and here I come a week and a half earlier to go back into the stream. I wanted the least disruption, and if it was going to cost me $135,000, I was willing to do that like a little bitch. And I will say that loud and clear. People are going to be like, wow, she just gave up 135 to save her ass. Yes, because guess what? I have no doubt that in a few hours, he might have gotten that 135 right back from me. And we are talking about super high stakes. We're not talking about this grind that's going to take several days of sitting on a 2-5 game to work up a stack of 100,000. We're talking about a single hand where he could have easily taken back that 135 from me. So for me, if it meant that I was going to give him what made him happy to go back into the stream and cause as least disruption to a production team that I look up to and respect, I was like, have at it, honey. I was pissed deep inside, and in my mind, I was thinking, I can't wait to win back the money that I was due in a hand that I should not have won. My financial situation with Rip is that we're actually business partners because we're both in the biotech industry, and we're actually creating a cannabis toothpaste. It has nothing to do with poker. I brought him on to the live stream last Wednesday because it was a referral. Hustler Casino Live is looking for people that are kind of fun, that have heavy bankroll, that are a different variety of sorts. And I was like, oh, I have a buddy that would love to go on stream. This is not his financial well-being. His bankroll far exceeds what the poker world could ever thrive or provide for him.
Okay,
and so he's just on there for fun. And when he saw that I was like, you know, feeling a certain way, he looks at me and he's like, you good? Are you okay? He's looking out for me as a friend would do. In that interaction that you posted, he's telling me that Nick wants to talk to me outside. That was it. Simple as that. I feel like I'm making certain calls and reads that I have, and I'm not psychic, but I'm also not cheating. And the more than anything, I would actually love that footage of me and Garret and Ryan in that hallway to come out, because then you can see what it was like. I don't know if they'll ever do it. I doubt that they will.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, the footage is going to be tough because not knowing what's being said will protect you a lot.
You know what? But the one thing I will defend, because I haven't read any all the things on Twitter. I mean, like, I can't even look down at my phone and catch a comment before 500 more come. I will say that the stuff I caught was like certain things that he never threatened me and was like, you better give me this money. I looked at him and said, what can I do for you to go back into the stream? Because I'm looking out for the producers.
In your tweet, you said he cornered me and threatened me.
He did.
So
he cornered me. He was like, why did you do that?
So you can't make these statements publicly and then come on here and say he didn't threaten you and then keep saying you might have been intimidated by him. That might be the word to describe it, but you can't say he threatened you if he didn't actually threaten
I got a tap on the shoulder, Sean, to come to a hallway to question, and I got questioned for things that I'm like, why is this coming at me right now? First of all, legally, that is unacceptable. There's nobody here to look at us or observe us or see what the fuck is going on for what he suspected was like a cheating hand. I felt very cornered, and that was very threatening. How is that not threatening? He is giving me the death stare at the table, and now I am being asked to go to a sideways hallway in the middle of an active like stream, not without any like recollection of what the hell is going on. Like, I just got a tap on the shoulder. Hey, someone needs to talk to you in that hallway over there. I'm walking. I see Garret, and he looks angry as he's walking. So I know what I'm kind of up against. And then now here I am in a hallway with like all these like eyes on me telling me like what happened, what's going on. It was very threatening. And I was like,
so all these eyes, was anyone else there besides Ryan and Garret?
No.
Kind of up to her. Shout out to the chat. What do you guys think of Robbi? Shout out to Robbi for calling in. At least show her some love for that, because you guys know that we've always given the invite to people to kind of come on here or show up, and they don't always come on, right? And so I appreciate her coming on. To me, Sean, what she says makes a lot of sense. I honestly think what she's saying is more likely to me than there was this was a big cheating hand. Like, it does make sense to me, even though I know a lot of chat don't think that way. Both sides make sense to me, really. So I kind of want to see what Garret has to say, because if Garret feels like he knows something, and if the security feels like they can find something, then we can't really deduce
Well,
much else
I also
from here.
hope to see like everyone's hole cards, like maybe Rip folded 10-9 off or something like that. Like there's some bits of information that could be there that Ryan and Nick are probably looking into.
You guys probably want to start out with some questions. As you already know, I am going to have to be extremely careful in what I say for the reasons that I'm going to state in a minute, which you probably already know. But would you like to ask me anything directly first and go from there?
Yeah, Sean, I talked to Nick earlier on the show, guys. We just talked with Robbi as well. And Nick, did you get a chance to hear what Robbi said? And then I know Sean has some questions.
Yeah, I listened to everything she said. I will say when I called in earlier, I was at a little bit of more of a disadvantage. I had just seen the hand. That's the only thing I had seen. Okay. Is the hand, and I commented from there. So what I will say is this. Let me preface this, and then you guys ask me whatever you want, but I'm going to preface this. And I hope everyone listening to this, because there's an awful lot of people listening to this, I hope they understand something. I am never, ever running for office to answer things politically correct. The only reason I'm going to be careful here is for this reason, and I've always been adamant about this, and I don't care what the situation is. The reason I am looking into this is because, of course, I should, and I have no choice, and this is something that has happened. I will tell you what I think should have happened and what could have happened differently, but, we're past that now. But I want everyone to understand, as much as somebody is doing an investigation and looking into something, to find something, you also have to do that also for somebody who did nothing, right? So what I mean by that is, I am in no way implying that I am looking into something because I believe Robbi is guilty, and I am definitely in no way implying the other. I am neutral. I am not in Robbi's head. I don't know what happened. Just like you guys, there are probably a bunch of stuff on one side that you could say this and then say that. I'm not trying to be squirrely with you guys, but I am going to tell you this. We are, the casino and Ryan and I, as far as high stakes poker productions, I'm going to throw everything at this myself personally. And if that means I have to spend $100K bringing in a team to look at the videos better than I can look at it, the casino has already committed to looking at everything because now we have to do this. We are probably going to scrutinize every hand on the stream. This is going to take a while. And again, I'm not doing this because I'm trying to prove Robbi guilty. I do not have a dog in the fight when it comes to that. My whole thing is that it was played on my stream, and I want the integrity of my stream to continue for a long, long time. And so, we know we don't live in a perfect world. I cannot, when I came on your show, all I was saying earlier is, and it got misconstrued, is from what I saw at that exact second when she said, is a 3 good, and I'm not going to say any more than this after this as far as details, and then said, I have, a bluff catcher. That's all I saw. That made sense to me at the time. A lot has transpired after that. There's been a lot more comments, a lot of different things said. So I'm going to not give my opinion on what I think because it's confusing as fuck right now with all the different inconsistencies and all the things happening. What I wished happened was, and what should have not, in a perfect world, because you got to understand, nobody was prepared for this. I wasn't watching. I was on my way home, and this happens. And, to everyone's point, would it have been great if Garret just got up, left, put in a beef, and we figured it out? Yeah, probably. But that didn't happen. And he wanted Ryan to come down. And so Ryan did. Ryan has no clue really at that time. We haven't had an experience with it. So yes, he asked Robbi to talk.
You can't have it both ways. She can't be too oblivious to make the call, but also not be oblivious, be too oblivious to be cheating. You know what I mean?
Right.
It can't go both ways. You know what I mean?
I do see what you're saying there, right? Is that if it's just such a strange hand, when I go back to it and with the Jack 4, and she basically says she thought she had the pair, but then we saw her looking at her hand. So, she would have had a misread her hand. I think she had the 3.
How many times have you like looked at your cards and fake looked at your made
Yeah, I know.
believe
Agree. Especially when I'm like a few edible deep. I'm always looking at my cards. I forget what I have. I'm like, I don't know what the fuck I got.
Right, but people will also like look back at their cards.
Oh, like fake look at them.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She could also I don't know. She's not all there. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, her explanation makes 0 sense. But not just her explanation. Pretty much everything she says makes 0 sense. So
yeah, it makes sense. She sees poker one way. I mean, listen, you got to remember, Jared, that you have been locked in the poker meta. I took a break for 10 months, so I got to see how crazy it is in poker metaverse. You are literally in the poker metaverse every day, so you can't. I mean, you can't even fathom what a newer player is going to be thinking about. They make a move to them is normal. To you and us, it's like that we would never do that. So when they explain the hand, everybody got their own thought process. We might not agree that it's the best way to do it. So when I hear her thought process, to me it makes sense. I can see where she's coming from with what she's saying. So I'm a little less on that regard, because I feel like a lot of professionals are maybe saying, okay, she doesn't understand what she's saying. Doesn't necessarily mean that it can't get you to a conclusion just because you can't explain it sometimes too. But I do see what you're saying and where you're coming from about it, right?
There's really no conclusion you could really draw on the spot. Like, what conclusion can you draw? I mean,
her conclusion is that she really wanted to stack Garret and she called with Jack high.
Right. Well, that's not a conclusion like from any poker related. That's just saying like I want to win a pot, which is fine. Yeah. But also, to be fair, on the other side, I've seen her playing everything for like a minute now. Like she was playing all these big WSOP tournaments. Like she was in I saw her playing everything. Like she was in the WPT. I'm pretty sure she was in a bunch of 5Ks and 10Ks of the series. Like she's been playing cash. So let's not make believe that this girl just showed up on stream and played poker for the first time. She's played enough poker where it's difficult to be this clueless. So I just think that maybe she I don't like the fact that she's this lost in what she's saying makes it really difficult to believe she'd be capable of cheating.
So Robbi makes a miracle call and scoops the massive pot. Now, many in the poker community were shocked by her play, some even having the gall to accuse her of cheating. In their mind, there's no way that anyone could be so atrociously bad at poker or at life to make such a horrendously appalling play unless she knew Garret's specific hand. But again, that type of thinking is deeply rooted in Eurocentric, patriarchal notions of reason and logic. Ignore the fact that this call has negative $61,000 of EV. Remember, BTO is all about board coverage and blockers. Not only does Robbi have the Jack of Clubs that blocks multiple straight draws in the club draw, which reduces the number of bluffs that has Robbi beat, on top of that she also has the 4 of Hearts, which now blocks the backdoor heart draw, as well as the possible Ace-4, King-4, and Queen-4 suited combos, which are in Garret's range 0.0007% at the time. In other words, as Robbi insightfully mentions, this is a pure bluff catcher, along with other similar hands in her range, such as 6-deuce suited, which beats the possible 5-4 combos in Garret's range.
So what, you want to hear my take on the hand? Here's what I think. I think if you notice in the middle of the hand, she asked, can you beat a 3, right? So what I think is that she thought she had Jack 3. She misread her hand, and then she didn't want to say she misread her hand because she's at a poker table. That's I think is the best, most reasonable explanation for what happened.
She called the flop because she had the Jack of Clubs on a 9-10-10 board, give her a backdoor flush draw, backdoor straight draw, and she thought she banked a 3 on the turn. That's Occam's razor. And then she makes a pretty strong call with what she thinks is bottom pair. It turns out she doesn't have bottom pair, but it happens to be good. And to me, that's what makes sense.
I mean, that's what I think. I mean, I could be wrong, obviously, but that's what I think.
Right?
Yeah.
She can play with me any day.
20, 10, 20. You get a therapist in here or what?
I need one after that. At least 82% of the time he's going to make something on 2 boards.